I'm good. How are you, Spike?
Great. Chris France. Give it up, people. Yeah, baby. Jerry Harrison.
Glad to be here.
And a man with a fat suit, David Byrd. Hey. I want to say, first of all, it's an honor privilege to be here with you. So I want to, that's from my heart and soul. And I was many nights at the West 8th Street, the theater, midnight show. Oh yeah. I was there. David, we were talking earlier. Let's go back to the origin. Spider-Man #1, Daredevil #1, the origin.
This was more or less our tour. This is more or less what we were doing on tour. There were a few songs that were cut out. The intermission, the encore gap was cut out. But other than that, this is kind of the show we were doing. It seemed like it had a kind of progression to it, a story. And I think it occurred to us, this could maybe work as a film. It's got a beginning and a middle and an end. And we started thinking about who could direct this, and how could we do this, and how do we pay for it? Yeah.
And then the late great Jonathan Demme. Give it up, please. The great director, Jonathan Demme.
Indeed. I miss Jonathan.
Yeah, we all do.
He would have been so happy to see this tonight and to hear it. Jerry, you did a good job.
Thank you.
And I miss Bernie too.
Bernie Worrell, yes, Bernie.
The great Bernie Worrell.
Sitting here, watching this in this IMAX theater. You shot this 4 performances, Pantages Theater in LA. Came out in 1984. How is it coming back to see this after decades? Remastered, remixed, IMAX, all of that.
Well, I would say that one of the wonderful things is the fact that there is new technology. It meant we almost have a burden to adapt and to bring it up to what people can hear now in theaters. I mean, one of the things I noticed is that with the multi-channel audio, if you wanted to listen to Bernie, it's a little go, I can hear the whole mix, but I can just listen over there and I can hear it. Or I want to hear Alex over here in a way that you couldn't in 84 and even in 99. And so it's a delight to see, that we found the original negative, and so therefore we could bring it back to life as much as possible and make the sound appropriate to the theaters like the one that you just got to listen to it in.
When I was watching this just now, I was thinking, this is why we come to the movie theaters. This is different than watching it on my laptop. This is really different.
Or your iPhone, too. Let me ask this question. I'm a cinephile. You know I love cinema. And this is the greatest concert film ever. Can we give it up, please? And I can say that. I mean, you might want to, but for me, I'm going on record.
Okay.
I went on record. Around the world, this is the greatest concert film ever. Give us some applause, please. Make some noise. Make some noise. No one's gonna co-sign that?
Well, Talking Heads was such a good band. And when we had that expanded lineup, I mean, excuse me for blowing my own horn, our own horn. It's so good to be here with my bandmates tonight.
It's a beautiful thing. A beautiful thing.
It's been a long time. With the expanded lineup with Steve Scales and Bernie Worrell and Lynn Mabry and Edna Holt and Alex Weir, they just took us into a whole nother dimension, you know? And I'm very grateful to be here tonight and to be able to watch this and to enjoy it so much. I'm grateful.
Did you enjoy the reaction? The audience digging it too?
I certainly did. Although it's a little steep for dancing, but some people manage to.
I got up. I got up.
Ah, yes.
I couldn't sit at the side seat. I had to walk up to the back and watch it up there so I could dance around a little bit and just sort of experience. I didn't want to be off at the side. You know? I wanted to experience the widescreen.
David, can you talk about the collaboration and everybody else too with Jonathan Demme? Because there was collaboration, there was talk back and forth. I mean, you just don't show up and do something great like this. So can we talk about that, please, somebody?
Sure. Jonathan came to see the show and he came backstage and he said, I would love to make a movie. I think that's how it happened, right? And it was as simple as that. And we had been admirers of his work. Caged Heat, anybody?
Is that Roger Corman?
But I think, yes, it was. But the real thing I think that hooked us on Jonathan was the movie Melvin and Howard, which was a very different kind of movie, wasn't it, in its time, and beautiful movie. And will somebody else join in?
When I saw what Jonathan was doing, working with Lisa Day, the editor, I realized that he was looking at it as an ensemble film. Like you would have a bunch of actors in a location and you get to know each character one by one. And he lets you get to know them, lets you get familiar with them, and then you watch how they all interact with one another. And I thought, I'm in my own world, but he saw that. He saw what was going on there.
Yeah.
And I think that because he did that, one of the reasons of the sort of lasting power of the film is you see that we are having so much fun on stage. And the audience just...
Can I put the word love in there too?
And love.
Love.
And
love.
Yes, exactly. Love and fun. And the audience is brought right into it and say, you're part of this too. And I think that every time anybody watches it brings back that wonderful emotion.
Tina, I'm going to come to you next. I have a special love for bass players. My father was a bass player. So talk about you as the bassist for the talking, bringing that bottom.
My big contribution was I never turned my amp up past 3. And that way it left room for everybody else to shine. Because if the bass player gets too loud, forget about it.
Give it up for the bass player. David, earlier we talked about you would pop in and out of the editing process. The great Lisa Day. I mean, she cut the shit out. I mean, you talk about the editing, everybody, if you were there, tell us about being in the editing room with Lisa and the late, great Jonathan Demme.
Lisa and Jonathan invited us to be part of the editing process, and it was, we were not saying cut here, cut there. It was more like, oh, Alex is doing this incredible thing right at this moment. Do you have that? Is that on one of the cameras? We knew the show backwards and forwards, so we could sit.
How many cameras did you have each night?
Was it 4 each night? 4 or 5, and then so it was at least a dozen once you got them all synced up together.
Mm-hmm.
What was that? 6 a night.
6 a night.
Yeah.
That's 18 altogether.
And we were using this new system that Hal Ashby had invented.
The great Hal Ashby.
That's right, the great Hal Ashby. So that that Lisa could look at every shot simultaneously, not do it sequentially, using Betamax tapes. And so we began the edit with that before they went to cutting film. And the one thing I also think that was unique about this is we shot this at the end of December, then went to Australia and New Zealand to play some shows, came back, and it came out in April. So it was like a sprint, and nobody ever got tired. It's like we sprinted, and it's like we finished. And so many projects sometimes are interrupted with like, you've got to take a break. We never took a break, and it kind of feels that way. It just feels like it just flowed and it was finished. It was wonderful.
The opening is for me is astonishing, where you see, it's like we're not gonna hide anything. We're gonna have the grips, roll shit out, the stands, and how did that happen?
That was our show. That was the show that we
On the
toured.
tour you did that?
On the tour. That was the show on the tour.
Every night.
And it took I remember it took a while for the crew and Grips and everybody to get used to being on stage and being visible. They're used to like, we don't want people to see you. But we were saying, no, it's fine. Just move with purpose and with intention, and it'll be fine.
Brilliant. I want to go down the line. We'll start with the basis. Your favorite performance, song of what we just saw. You got a favorite?
Come on, Spike. That's like making
You're on the
me
spot.
choose which of my
There's
children.
simulcasts around the world.
I'm not gonna go there.
All right.
I love that show. It was magical. I mean, everything about it was so special. And with the love that you talk about between
Love.
us and the audience, the teamwork, our crew, the film crew, it was all amazing. And we had Sandy McLeod. She toured with us for about 3
Tell us who's Sandy.
Sandy is, what do they call her on, what's her credit? Visual consultant. That's a weird one. Well, okay, I guess you have to give him a name. But Sandy McLeod was actually with us on tour, and she mapped out every shot ahead of time. She took notes on every song, what each player was doing, who was moving, who was where. And I think that really helped the team when it came time to shoot.
How many times did Jonathan Demme see the show before you?
A lot. He came on tour too.
Oh, he's on tour too?
But not as he wasn't there as much as Sandy McLeod,
Okay, cool.
because Jonathan, it's no secret, Jonathan was making this movie with Goldie Hawn at the same time, and it was supposed to be like a warts and all kind of movie. That's what the star of the movie wanted, right? And then she saw the dailies and she said, "Oh no, I don't like warts and all." and they had to go back and reshoot a good deal of the movie to make the star happy. And so Jonathan wasn't expecting to have to reshoot half of that movie, but he had to. So he didn't get to come out on tour, I think, as much as he would have liked to. But he certainly dug the band and understood what we were about and helped us to celebrate celebrate the music, because when you get right down to it, the music is greater than the band even. Like, we might be dead, but the music continues.
Live forever.
That's right.
You got a song. Favorite.
Do I have a favorite? Well,
I know I'm putting everybody on the spot, but
gee, it is. Tom Tom Club is cool. I wish I kept my mouth shut a little bit more than I did. but I would say I'm gonna say Once in a Lifetime, because it's like going to church, and it's very moving to me, and it's got a power that many other bands and songs never achieve. It's just right up.
You're not lying. You're not lying.
Yeah.
I'm a little in between too. I would say Life During Wartime, which I think is sort of a moment it's like where the movie sort of takes off. And like, if you haven't been dancing, you've got to get up and start dancing. And I'm a big fan of Girlfriend is Better, which is, it's the music is this weird abstract thing that's going on. It's like you listen to these parts and it's going, so it has this kind of, I don't know, anyway, unusual modern music to it. And every time I hear it, I go like, God, do I love that song. So I want to call that one out.
Mr. Byrne.
I agree with all what they've said, that Once in a Lifetime is amazing because it's almost one shot. Not the whole thing, but almost one shot. And it was Jonathan's decision. Like, it plays, so he said, why cut away until we have to? Some of the others, there's all these moments that he caught where one of us looks at the other, looks over at Bernie, or Bernie looks at us, or all those little quick interactions that I thought that stuff is amazing.
Those solo shots on Bernie are amazing because he was feeling it. he had the spirit in him. He's like,
Well, I gotta tell you one shot. How about where the girl's head goes around like this? Every time I see that, it goes like, how did she do that?
the great burning world.
Yes, the great Bernie Worrell.
David, fat suit. The origin.
The origin of that was it was in between tours, and I was thinking, what are we gonna do next? What are we gonna do next? Maybe I should rethink what we wear on stage. And I was having dinner in Japan after we finished the tour, and this this designer there said, "Well, David, in the theater, everything is bigger than real life." He's referring to like gestures and you sing louder and all that. And I'm thinking, oh, my suit should be bigger too.
It was really big tonight.
Where are the comments? We have some.
Well, one thing I can say about the suit is that there were two of them that were made, as I remember. Mm-hmm. And actually, the one that you used was a friend of mine who made it, because the second one had sort of plastic, was lighter, but it didn't move with your body the same.
Yeah, I couldn't do all that shaky stuff.
Yeah, this one reacted with you.
Okay, the first question is from Chattanooga, Tennessee, and they're seen at the aquarium.
Oh my God.
What was the greatest takeaway lesson from the semiotics of Jonathan Demme on Stop Making Sense? What did you learn from each other that influenced your work going forward?
Actually, I think Something Wild influenced my work going forward a lot. Well, I think Jonathan gave us a lot of confidence. He made us feel like he made us feel like what we were doing was very worthwhile, and that it was something that, you know, it was something that was worthy of making a motion picture, and also worthy of being remembered into the future. And he was a very pure kind of guy, a very sweet person, and it was a great pleasure to have known him.
Okay, the next question is from Benny from Westbury, Long Island, Strong Island, IMAX. The question is, what is it like seeing this iconic movie being shown to a brand new audience. Love from New York. That's Benny.
Oh, I thought the reception was great. I understand that a good percentage of folks here are festival subscribers, which is great. The festivals need subscribers, but that might mean that you didn't know exactly what you were getting into.
Okay, this is someone here. T. Toronto. I saw the tour 8 times, and obviously the clean look of the stage was very impressive. But I'm curious about stage monitors and how well you heard each other. That was before the advent of ear monitors. I'm curious if you felt you could hear each other okay, or if you were playing more instinctively.
Well, actually, that was when you were asking about the building of the stage and what we did every night. The platforms that rolled on contained the monitors and our guitar amps and everything. So one of the things that the crew had to learn is to make sure all the connections were made. And it was a challenge at times to not have feedback and things like that. But over time, I think we got the mix so that we could all hear really, really well. One thing about Talking Heads is that we always were minimalists about putting too much in monitors. We would angle amps and we would do things in the early days, so largely with the vocals and maybe a little bit of the snare drum, but very little else. We never tried to be too loud on stage, and it held us in good stead when we moved into having the monitors behind us. So no, we were able to accomplish it.
So Caden's from West Melbourne. Why do you think Talking Heads still remains so relevant today? What makes your music timeless? Somebody.
I'm sorry to say, it's not really blues-based. Even blues is so great, jazz is so great, but maybe we kind of mixed it up a little and went in a different direction, because there were already great blues players out there. So we didn't do that.
Okay.
I mean, having been the one person who had been in another band and joined the band, it was the Talking Heads music felt new and of its own piece. Yes, there were influences. Obviously, R&B was an influence. But when I joined the band, it's like I went, there's nothing going on like this. And I don't know how big an audience we're going to get, but I know that we are going to be treading new ground. And I think we did, and that's why it's timeless.
All right. This is Ed from Danbury. The fullness, overall quality of the recording soundtrack is rarely mentioned. I've always found Stop Making Sense to be more of an album recorded live than a live album. How the heck did you achieve such a rich and detailed sound?
Well, one thing is, for this, is we recorded it digitally, so that it was the beginning of...
Way back in '84, huh?
We were the pioneers in doing this, and that was because we knew that in the process of making a film, you must re-record at various times, and we didn't want to lose, have generations going down. And then I also have to say that, the mixers and the people we worked with, but also, when we did the original mix, David and I were there, and I was involved with Gary Getzman and various other engineers, and making sure that we retained that quality.
We have Charles from Montreal. He says, "Hi, Talking Heads. I'm curious to know, while you were in production with Jonathan Demme, which film or stills or film inspired you for the visual aspect of the movie? Thanks, and thanks for the awesome music. Love."
You want to take this one, David?
Oh, okay. There wasn't a lot in Jonathan's movie visually that compared to this. It was more like he was aware of how people related to one another. And he brought that to a concert movie, which is kind of, you don't see it in every kind of concert movie. I remember when we were thinking about this, I looked at whatever concert movies and things I could at the time. I remember looking at a Neil Young one one called Rust Never Sleeps, where you had giant amps. And I thought, hey, that's pretty good. There was the P-Funk tours with the Mothership coming down. We thought, well, I don't think we can.
George Clinton.
Yeah.
The Mothership.
But there were these very theatrical shows out there that still had a lot of credibility. And I thought, okay, there's a way to do this.
Let me ask, I'm getting my years mixed up. What year did Prince's concert album come out? I'm trying to.
Purple Rain.
Yeah, no, not.
Sign of
Sign of the Times. Sign of the Times. Anybody know? So this was after.
So that was like 4 years after this.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We have. You know what? We got to wrap it up.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen, get up for the Talking Heads. Give it up. Thank you, thank you to Toronto International Film Festival, Cameron Bailey.
Thank you, Spike.
No, thank you.
Spike.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Talking Heads. Give it up.